My dear, how did you find the sorrow I buried even from myself? You touched memories I swore were forgotten and made them breathe again. Somehow, you knew the broken songs hidden behind my silence. You traced my scars like you had worn them too. Without a word, you uncovered the aching parts one kept hidden. I never told you, but you heard the earthquakes in my chest. You found the secret gardens I forgot how to water. I buried my longing deep, yet you unearthed it with a glance. The dreams I killed in fear rose when you whispered. Your hands held the shattered pieces I pretended weren't there. You read the language of my wounds without needing translation. You found the letter I never wrote but needed someone to read. Somehow, you loved even the parts one hated to admit existed. You stepped into my ruin without asking for a map. You saw the fire I thought only ashes remained from. My silence screamed, and somehow you listened. You uncovered a loneliness I had long stopped acknowledging. You knew the songs I never dared to sing aloud. You touched my grief like it was sacred, not shameful. I hid my heart behind fortresses, but you still knocked. You peeled away my fear with a kindness sharper than any blade. You found the softness I forgot how to protect. You looked at me like you could see the wars I survived. Somehow, you knew the battles I never admitted to fighting. If this touched your soul, don't scroll, like, comment your favorite quote, and subscribe for more. Your eyes spoke the prayers I forgot how to pray. I hid my dreams in a locked room, and you walked in anyway. You kissed the places I thought were unworthy of love. Without asking, you sat with my shadows and called them beautiful. You heard the parts of me even I abandoned. My walls collapsed not by force, but by your tenderness. You carried pieces of me I thought were too heavy to hold. Somehow, you reached the version of me that even I had lost. You found the home I built from heartbreak and chose to stay. You wrapped your heart around the thorns I tried to hide. You heard the grief stitched between my laughter. You walked through my darkness without lighting a torch, only holding my hand. You made my silence feel seen. You loved the parts of me that were still unfinished. You knew there were oceans behind my I'm fine. Your soul touched the frost I carried and melted it. You whispered to my brokenness as if it were a holy thing. You weren't afraid of my ruins, you danced in them. You found beauty where I only saw debris. You recognized my sadness like an old friend. You saw the wounds I dressed in gold to hide. You did not turn away from my emptiness. You leaned closer when I expected you to run. You didn't save me, you stood beside me as I saved myself. Somehow, you saw the masterpiece hidden inside the mess. Your love excavated truths I didn't know were buried. You didn't fear the ache I wore like armor. You found the melody in my unfinished songs. You held my chaos like it was a love letter. You didn't ask me to be whole, you just stayed. You translated the sorrow I never learned to speak. Somehow, you honored even the broken altars in me. You didn't flinch when you saw the storms I carry. Your love didn't demand healing, it simply made healing possible. You breathed life into the corners of me I abandoned. You dared to love the fragments everyone else stepped around. You entered my silence and turned it into a sanctuary. You spoke to my fear with gentleness sharper than courage. You danced with the ghosts I was too tired to fight. You sang lullabies to the monsters under my skin. Somehow, you kissed the sadness out of my veins. You stepped into my ruin and still called it holy ground. You loved the cracked mirror I tried to hide. You didn't erase my pain, you gave it somewhere safe to live. You wove light through the gaps I thought would never close. You tended to the gardens of grief inside me. You touched the dust inside me and made it stars. You didn't need proof to believe in the goodness left in me. You baptized my ruins in something more beautiful than hope. You weren't afraid to love what was still bleeding. You weren't looking for perfection, you were looking for me. Your soul wrote love letters to the forgotten places in me. You gathered the pieces of me no one else noticed. You smiled, and all my old wounds forgot how to ache. You found the child hiding inside my grown-up sorrow. You never asked me to pretend to be whole. You offered a hand instead of advice. You whispered love into the parts of me I thought were unworthy. You stayed for the storms, not just the sunshine. You found my deepest wound, and somehow, you loved it first.